Hey everyone, Jesse McDonald here. I've got a finalized project for you, which is a backend API demo for the ticket event service in its final form. So I just want to go through the code with you here real quick, just show you a couple things that are going on, and then we'll run a couple of tests in Swagger so you can see the endpoints doing their job. So you can see currently we're up and running here successfully, so we'll be able to go through that. If you take a look here at our app.ts file, because this is all done is done in TypeScript, so we've got some modularization here from our server file to our app file, so that way we can instantiate any middleware we need or anything going forward with that. So as you can see under middleware, we do have some auth configuration going on here. We're using Auth 0 as our authentication service, and they're handling all of the user authentication, as well as authenticating, confirming that the user is authenticated onto the endpoints. So every endpoint is protected by having this auth required set to true. That way it requires a login as soon as we get to the main page in Swagger. So we'll see that here in a minute when we get to that point. The API also does handle errors, as well as it handles validation, data validation on it. So in our folders we have a middleware directory, and that has an error handler in it that will console.error the stack trace of the error, and then it will return the status of an error status, and if it's an unknown error status, then it will just return 500, and it will be always returning a message that says something went wrong. And our validator will go through the different validations that are on the endpoints that we'll look at in just a second, and that validator will go through and add them to this array of errors. And if the array is not empty, then we'll get a 422 status back on the endpoint there, and we will see the array of errors with what's going on. So if we take a look really quick, we'll just look at our booking routes. You can see here our booking routes. This is how the validator is set up with Express Validator. And we're going through and basically data validating on everything that comes in on the post request for creating it, making sure we're good to go from that standpoint, as well as on the put. What's unique about the put here is that this is set up to be optional on these points here, meaning that if you don't supply it, then it'll just leave what's in the database, but if you do supply it, it will go through validation before it's sent it to the database. So great news on all that front. And in the event as well, we have a similar setup for going with events. So that's something that we also want to keep in mind as we have as the validation goes through. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the Swagger page for this application. We'll just go ahead and bring it up. So I have it set on a new tab right now because I wanted to show you that you do have to log in. So we go to localhost 3000. I've already logged in, and so because I still have a live session, it's brought me right here to the page. But if you try to log in either on localhost or with the render link, it will ask you to log in or continue with Google. So you'll have to do that. So we'll just go through with the functionality. Before the get endpoints still are working, so we're still getting events just fine. And we've seen the post events working as well. We're going to go ahead and test those in a minute with data validation, as well as the put and the deletes. So let's go ahead and create a new event first. So let's get all the events really quick so you can see those. All right, now let's go ahead and go through the events. We'll do try it out, and I have an event that we'll go ahead and place in there. So let me just do that really quick. Okay, that's been added in there. So we'll go ahead and execute on this here, and you'll see we got a 201. Oh, we got the ID. So let's go ahead and grab that and go through the individual ID right here. Try it out. You see we'll get the event back itself specifically. We're going to go ahead and just show the delete functionality on this really quick as well. We'll just add that event right in here to delete it and execute, and you'll see that it acknowledge it is true, and then we got a deleted count of 1. So that event has been deleted. So if we go back up here to the get all events, which you're going to find, is that it's no longer going to be there. So we'll try it out and we'll execute. And that new event, which is a music festival of 2003, it's not even there. So it's one that's already set up and no longer there because we deleted it. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to try and we'll go ahead and create that event again. So let's just execute this again so the event's in the database. And it's back. We'll grab this ID. We'll go ahead and stick it into our put endpoint here. And we're going to try and update it, but we're going to feed it some bad data. Okay, so I've got a test for some bad data here. Let's just go ahead and stick that in. And what you will see is we'll get a 422 back with the errors and the type of the field and that it's required. So we'll get all this up here. So that's what would happen in the case of an error on these endpoints. Same thing would happen if we were to do this for the create events. We'll just go ahead and throw that in again because it won't get added to the database. And on the post here for events, if we execute it, again, we're getting a 422. And it's giving you the array of errors that need to be handled. So that's built in on both ends of that. But let's go ahead and make a quick successful update to our put with that. So we'll just grab the data again from that original one. And let's just say that prices have now gone up. We'll do $149.99. And the seats available are now down to 500 seats. We execute that here. Now that we have valid data, we're getting a 200 response in here. We're seeing our modification count and getting that squared away. And if I go ahead and grab this ID and throw it in to our individual, then we'll execute it and you'll see it's updated now. There's only 500 seats with $149.99 as the price. We can do the same thing for the bookings as well. Notice that we pulled all our bookings up. We'll go ahead and create a booking. I've got a successful one that we're ready to add in, so that's good. We'll just grab that really quick and try this out and just successfully create with this endpoint. And we've executed it. You'll see we got an ID, which means that we've got it. It's been created and added to the database. We'll just take that ID again. We'll just go right down the list. And there's the ID. That's the event that was created. So if you look, the data matches. $150 paid. Seats A1 and A2 for 2 tickets. And then if we come in here to the update and say that we try to update this right here. Oh, we're not able to get that updated for some reason. If we wanted to take that booking out, we'll just go ahead and try this out and delete that as well. So there's a little bit of work to do on the update on that here, just to make sure that we have the body showing up for bookings. That's something that will be added on as we go forward. But as you can see, we have everything here together. It all is protected, so you have to authenticate to get in before you can even run these. And you can see that our endpoints are running and able to add and be able to create, read, update, and delete in our database. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demonstration, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.